Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. This is the student representatives public speak out, Springfield Empowerment Zone. We're glad to have each and every one of you on in good health to you and your families and the administrators and the teachers that are on with you. First is Marcus Kiley Middle School, my old junior high. Audrina Namaya Jenkins, and supported by Celeste Femina, and Principal Michael. I'm not gonna pronounce that correctly there.
Prisblack.
I was gonna be close. Thank you very much, the teacher. We appreciate that. Audrina, you're on. And great to see you.
Hello, Mayor Sano and the School Board Committee. Thank you for having us here tonight. I am so excited to be representing Kiley Middle School. We from Kiley have been so delighted now that we are back to school in person. When we went into lockdown, we had to learn online. A lot of students, including myself, did not do so well. It is hard getting up from out of bed to go to school to do 8 hours worth of work. 7th grade was one of the hardest years of my short life. It really made a lot of students depressed. We could not go anywhere, and if so, we needed a mask. And people were losing their lives every day. It was a sad time, but not just for us, but for the world. Now that we are back in school, people have been thriving. Now that we're in actual classes, work have been getting done. My fellow students' grades have skyrocketed. Class work has been super fun to do. Even with COVID restrictions, we have been participating in class a lot more, and it's fun to communicate when people are actually there instead of online. Now we have after school clubs that we can participate in, including Diversity Club, Art Club, Anime Club, Fit Zone, and Book Club. We are now 8th graders, and we are getting ready to go to high school. High school is something that is so foreign that our teachers have been preparing us. Our guidance counselors have been helping us choose what high school really fits us and making sure we are used to high school customs and routines. The future is a scary place, but with the brilliant minds of my fellow students, we are safe. I also want to thank the school board for changing the curriculum to be more inclusive to people of the LGBTQIA community and from people from oppressed groups. I am an Afro-Latina girl, and I do not want to learn something that only caters to the straight white man. For example, in history class, we're learning about the amendments in the Constitution. I do not want to learn the amendments if they do not apply to me. I want to know how they affect me in the world that I live in. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to let me speak today and about my experiences at Kiley Middle School.
Audrina, very nice job, and thank you. Again, we have a number of speakers tonight. I apologize. So if we can keep it about 2 minutes, that'll be great. Again, I want to thank Focus Springfield, Brendan, the whole team. You've been great as far as continuing our meeting and public meetings and transparency. Marcus Kiley Prep School is in the house. Trinity Cruz, supported by Principal Julia St. Martin, and Janae Jones, Dean of Culture. So I'll turn it over to Principal St. Martin or Ms. Jones, and of course, Trinity. We look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to pass it right on over to Trinity.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Trinity Cruz. I'm a 7th grader at Kiley Prep School, Middle School. Last year, I participated in remote learning until we were able to come to school in May. Remote learning was okay, but at the same time, it was confusing because it was hard and I couldn't understand what my teachers were saying through the computer. We were all in in-person learning this year, and so far it was going good, and it was way better than last year. My favorite subject is math. I like math because I love to do decimals. At Kiley Prep, I feel supported because my teachers are helping me to get to 8th grade, and then I go to high school of my choice with A's and B's. Thank you for letting me be here and have an opportunity. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Trinity, very much. Nice job. Kiley Academy is in the house, and that is Abdi Mohammed, Sincere Smith, supported by Principal Mike Calvanese, Amani Hines Coombs, who's the associate principal, Tim Bush, the 7th grade dean, and Autumn Hines, the sixth grade dean. So I'll turn it over to the administration, and of course, we look forward to hearing from Abdi and Sincere.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to turn it directly over to our deans. Dr. Bush, you may begin.
Thank you.
So, Mayor Sarno and Commissioner Warwick, you know how we do at Kylie Academy. I am proud to introduce Mr. Abdi Mohammed. Not only is he a gorgeous, handsome young man, but he is one of our best scholars at this school. He is polite, he is considerate, and he's very articulate. And I have a feeling he's going to knock you off your socks with his speech. Abdi, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kabdi Hussein Mohammed, and I go to Kylie Academy. I like many things about the school, especially my teachers who inspire me to do my best every day. I also like my enrichment classes because they are fun and I feel safe to be myself. I've made many new friends and we support each other. I remember during the first week of school when Mr. Lorenzano looked at me and showed me a picture of a former student of his and asked me if I knew her. I replied with a smile, "That is my sister." He mentioned she was a great student and I felt inspired to follow her steps. I have been learning many new things since the school year started. In social studies, I am learning about the different religions around the world and the contributions spiritual leaders have made. For example, Buddha used his teachings to guide others to a nonviolent life. I would like to learn more about his teaching, a thrive to practice nonviolence. If your dreams don't scare you, they are not big enough. Muhammad Ali, thank you.
Abdi, nice job. Thank you. Sincere?
The regular is going to be introduced by our Dean Hines.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Autumn Hines. I'm the sixth grade dean of students at Kylie Academy. Tonight, I'll be introducing Sincere Smith. A couple of fun facts about Sincere is one, he likes reading realistic fiction. Currently, he's reading a book called Black Brother. Also, he loves listening to music. His favorite genre is rap, and he loves Kanye West. Everyone, Sincere.
Okay. Great intros. Sincere, you're up. He's probably going to sing us a song, you know, he's getting ready. He's warming
Right.
up.
Oh, no, Sincere, I think you're having some audio issues. It looks like he was unmuted, but we could not hear you. It's okay, sweetheart. Try one more time.
Take your time. There he is. All right, Sincere.
He can't hear.
He can't hear? Okay. No, there's no audio, Sincere. Is he on mute, you think? No.
Going back and forth to mute. Sincere, why don't we try rebooting your computer, then we try you later on? How about that?
Thank you, Principal Calvin.
Reboot, shut it down and come back.
That's okay, Sincere. That's okay. You know, if you want, I can, we'll come back to him, okay? Let him relax. Everything's okay. We're going to go to JFK, Kennedy Middle School. James Giramonte, supported by Principal Mike Calvanese and Matt Sullivan, Associate Principal. So I see Sully now. Principal Sullivan?
How we doing, everybody? It's my pleasure to introduce one of the best students I've ever had in my 13 years in education, Giramonte James, 8th grade student from Kennedy Middle School.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and members of the esteemed school committee. My name is Giramonte James, and I am an 8th grade student in John F. Kennedy Middle School. I am honored to be before you and tell you a bit about my time here at Kennedy. 6th grade was fun, new, and exciting. There were all new teachers and all new friends to meet. We are able to do a lot at school, including going to the Thunderbolts game at Mass Mutual Center. It was fun to see hockey live in the first time and see how many other schools were there. Seventh grade was tough. Being remote made it very tough. About my favorite part, it was being able to come to school in the spring and meet all of my teachers. Eighth grade has been amazing. At Kennedy, our motto is structure and love. Of course, it would be more fun without wearing a mask, but we have to stay safe in these times. One thing I am very excited about is coming up soccer season. We start on Monday. At Kennedy, we have lots of fun while learning. Miss Floyd is a dean of the culture, and she puts together fun enrichments in order to keep us entertained. She gives us an opportunity to try new things we may not get to do in normal school days. For my enrichment, I get to play flag football. I get to know different people outside the classroom, and they get to see my skills on the field. The thing I love about Miss Floyd is at the end of announcement, she encouraged all students to work hard, be nice, let's get going. It is a simple thing, but it's very powerful. In the classroom, my teachers challenge us every day. They treat students with respect. Miss Merman helps us understand different types of math. Right now, we are learning about transformations. I can translate, rotate, and reflect with different types of the best. For things I may struggle with in math, Miss Anderson is there for me. She gives me leveled work in order to help us with our classes and Miss Merman's class. She's also pretty funny too. Miss Lord is my ELA teacher. She is truly amazing. She teaches us what reading is all about. Her goal is to get us ready for high school. She gives us options when choosing out books, and I have learned that in order to choose my book, I need to read the back cover first. Who would ever thought to read the back cover first instead of the book? At Kennedy, I really enjoyed my time. I'm excited to see what fun this year will bring. It is great to be to school in a place that puts respect as the number one trait to look in a student. I will always remember my teachers here. I will always remember to work hard, be nice, and let's get going. Thank you.
Nice job, Geramonte. Nice job. Nice job. We're going to go back to Kylie again, Sincere Smith, if Sincere can get back on. Please.
Can you hear me?
Try one. Yeah, all right, Sincere.
My name is Sincere Smith. I'm a sixth grade student and scholar at Kylie Academy. Here at Kylie Academy, we have enrichments where we can learn music, rocketry, cooking, and more. We have different after-school activities such as community meetings and sports. I'm currently taking many classes including math, science, ELA, and social studies. We also take gym and get the chance to have fun Friday each week. Our 4 habits of scholarship include perseverance, quality, respect, and responsibility. We strive to be better than who we are each day. Students are very welcoming and respectful of each other and teachers.
Thank you, Sincere, very much. We appreciate that. We'll now go to Chestnut Discovery Prep High School, supported by Principal Declan O'Connor, and it's Ricardo Springer, Mary Emma Luquier. If I pronounce it wrong, please correct me, and Davian Selgato. So, Principal O'Connor. Declan? No, okay. Any of the students on Ricardo Springer? Mariama or Davian?
All right, so I'm here. I don't think the principal Declan is here. but
Okay,
someone else, I think Delay is here.
okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Please introduce yourself, and we look forward to hearing from you, please.
Me or Delay?
Whoever would like to go first, that's fine.
All right. I'm Davian Salgado, and I'll just be talking about the school. I haven't been here long. Well, I haven't been at the school long because, I'm in ninth grade, but most of it is basically just technology and coding. So I'm gonna be reading from my speech now. All right.
Thank you, Davian. Go ahead.
Discovery is a high school like no other. It is a school in the making that is already better than most schools. As the people in Discovery High not only just do school, but also put true effort in the work, not all of them, but a lot. Most people try and help the school improve and be built upon, maybe just for them, but also inconsequentially impacting the directions in which the school goes and grows. There have been many faults and things because, of course, any school would have its faults, especially a school just starting up, but the school always seems to get back on track and better than it was. As I mentioned, Discovery is not like most schools. It gives opportunities not many schools offer. One of my favorites being that the school gives dual enrollment classes for college classes that eventually give college credits for free. I very much appreciate the school not only because of what it gives me, but the things that I can give it. Many people don't get a school or education like this, and this school is one of a kind. So to be a student at this school is not just a privilege, but an honor. Discovery offers a chance for teenagers to be themselves, where we have beat making music class, where we have an engineering class, where we have lunch, and it's basically a free period where we can walk around, talk, and do fun activities with our friends. I had heard about Discovery High School through my neighbor who also works at the school. She tells me about the school and firstly mentions that it would be starting up. So I wanted to check it out with Zoom meetings, and speakers told so much of cool stuff that I really wanted to go there. Several months later, I don't regret my decision. This is one of the best schools that anybody can ask for. I'm Davian Salgado, and thank you for your time.
Davian, thank you very, very much. I don't know if Ricardo is on or Mary Ama.
Ricardo is not here, but
Okay.
Hi, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Marianne. How are you?
Delay. My name is Delay. Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Go right ahead, dear.
All right. Good afternoon, Mayor Sarno and Mr. Warwick. My name is Delay Lucalay, and I'm a ninth grade at Discovery High School. Before I start speaking about my experiences at the school, I just want you to know some background information about me. I graduated middle school from Chestnut Talented and Gifted Middle School in 2020 and completed a whole year of ninth grade at Hamden Charter School of Science. However, as the end of the school year came to a close, I really sat down and asked myself, what have I learned? The year had just been a blur, working late to finish essays and research papers, studying for tests. Of course, I remember it all. But what knowledge am I taking from the past year to apply to 10th grade? All of these advanced classes were being offered to me, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to satisfy my hunger for learning, to feed my want to be challenged. And especially with my position coming out of a year of online school and feeling underaccomplished, I knew something had to be done. But what? I'd already filtered through every high school in Springfield, and I didn't want to attend any of them, all for different reasons. Too big, too small, rumors, academics, you name it. I only wish I had more options to choose from, but then the unexpected. My mother and I were sitting at the dining room table having dinner when a television advertisement caught my eye. It looked like my middle school building, and sure enough, it was. Dr. O'Connor came up on screen and started talking about the grand opening of a new high school. It seemed like a sign sent from above. We decided to look into the school and gain more information. Because this was a new school, only incoming ninth grades would be accepted. I was now in 10th grade, meaning I would have to decide if I wanted to repeat the ninth grade to attend the school or if I wanted to continue my studies at Hamden Charter. The academic and extracurriculars at Discovery High School were everything I wanted in a school. Earning high school credits along with college credits up to an associate's degree is something never heard of before. not in Springfield, perhaps not even in this state. I said to myself, do I stay at my current school and graduate normally, or do I take up this opportunity to graduate with attributes that can set me apart from everyone else? Not to mention the significant costs and loans it'll take from my pocket. I expressed my concerns to the admins of the school, Ms. Turner, Ms. Stephanie, and Dr. O'Connor, and they all came together to formulate an individualized plan to help keep me from being bored academically. I was sold. Since attending Discovery High School, I feel as though I've had a taste of a true high school and more. They're always planning things in the students' best interest. We recently went on a school field trip, which we visited Worcester State University, the college that we would be obtaining our credits through, and Balanced Adventures, a ziplining adventure theme park. For the first time in my high school experience, I find myself asking for help and being pushed as far as I can go. I'm building new and strong relationships with my peers and my teachers. Discovery High School has been a gracious blessing to my high school academic path, and I'm thankful to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice job. Thank you. We'll now go to Chestnut Impact, Paris Lowe. And again, I have Eclan O'Connor, Principal, and Frederick Hurst, Associate Principal, and Miss Harrison, Guidance Counsel. We'll open up the staff before we go to Paris Lowe, please.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno and the school committee. I am excited to have Paris Lowe with us, and we also have Destiny Rivera. They will be speaking on behalf of our school council. Destiny and Paris, make sure you're unmuted.
Okay, thank you. The Zoom is yours.
Hi, my name is Paris Lowe, and I'm the president of Student Council here at Impact Prep. And we have 3 ideas to make our school better. Our first idea is our school lunch. The lunches should be properly cooked and seasoned. For example, we would like more rice and chicken.
We would like to have more gym time and be able to do different games against different schools, which will help students with their athletic skills.
Thank you. Oh, you're going back and forth. I get it. Okay. Paris and Destiny, yeah.
We would also like to have some field trips. We would like to visit local basketball and football games, college and high schools, to meet people from other schools, which will prepare us for our future opportunities.
Also, we would like to visit like local farms near us and other fun educational places.
Thank you for hearing our student council ideas.
Thank you to that tag team. Good job, ladies. Thank you. We'll now go to Chestnut Tag, Nolan Cotto, Felix Negron, Ciance Reed, and again, Declan O'Connor, Principal, Maria Melendez, Family Engagement Coordinator, and we'll open up to staff first, or we'll go right to the students, please.
Good evening, Superintendent Warwick, Mayor Dominic Sarno, and the rest of the school committee. My name is Maria Melendez. I am the Family and Community Engagement Coordinator for Chestnut Tag. And we do have 2 students who unfortunately weren't able to join us as we had planned. However, I would like to introduce to you our 6th grader who is new to TAG this year, Nolan Cotto. He is awesome. He has gotten 2 shout outs in just 5 weeks of school from both of teachers and students. And I'm sure you're gonna love him. Nolan, go ahead and make sure you're unmuted.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nolan Cotto.
How you doing, Nolan?
Good.
Go right ahead, Nolan.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all being here tonight. A special thank you to our superintendent and the mayor for joining us. Well, this year has been very rough, having to wear masks and coming back to school after a year of virtual learning. But all the teachers here at Chestnut Tag and counselors are very welcoming and accepting. They're very nice and are always willing to do anything to help us. Thank you.
Thank you, very good. Thank you, Nolan. Forest Park Middle School is in the house. Rista Pradhan and Josiana Willis, if I pronounce your name wrong, please correct me, supported by Sarah Macon, I'm sorry, principal, and Kathy Trillo, teacher. So I'll turn it over to Forest Park Middle School, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. We have two of our student council representatives with us, one from 7th grade and one from 8th grade. And Ms. Trujillo helped them practice for tonight. So Josiah, want to go first?
It's Josiah, and yes. Good evening. My name is Josiah Willis. I'm an 8th grader at Forest Park Middle School. Being back in school is exciting because I'm able to fully focus. I'm really enjoying being part of student council, and I'm looking forward to incentives. My favorite subject this year is social studies because we're learning about civil rights, and it's very interesting and will help me later in life when I become a lawyer. I really like being a student at Forest Park because the teachers take their time to understand you and give us the education we need. Thank you, school board members, for your time.
Thank you very much, dear. Nice job. Rista?
Good evening. My name is Rista Pradhan, and I am a 7th grader. I'm a 7th grade student at Forest Park Middle School. Being back this year has been wild because of many changes. One thing I have enjoyed is going back to school in person and not virtual. It has been hard last year to focus on our schoolwork when we were in virtual. This year, I am really going to enjoy health class because we are learning about things that are good for our bodies. I am really looking forward to getting along with everyone. I really like being a Forest Park Middle student because of the teachers are really kind and supportive. Thank you, school board members, for your time.
Rista, thank you very, very much, dear. Good job, ladies. Thank you. Springfield Realization Academy, this is at Forest Park. Uralix Orta Rodriguez, if I pronounce it wrong, please correct me, please. I apologize. Calvin Harrison, and supported by Hayden Lyons, principal. Realization Academy, you're up.
Good evening, Mayor Sanos, Superintendent Warwick, and the school committee. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you two of our very brilliant scholars, Uralix Horta Rodriguez and Calvin Hairston. They would be speaking to you now in regards to their experience at SRA. Uralix, you would go first, followed by Calvin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor.
That's okay.
Good evening, Mayor Sun.
Oh, I think you're mute. We're going to check on that. Oh, that's okay. We're going to check on it. Not your fault.
So there will be some feedback if you have a speaker turned on one computer in the room and the microphone turned on the other. So you'll need to mute that second computer in order for this to work. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and members of the school committee. It is my pleasure to speak to you today on behalf of Springfield Realization Academy. My name is Jerry Soto Rodriguez, and I am a proud 6th grade scholar. The school Springfield Realization Academy, or SRA, is a pretty amazing school. I love how there are amazing teachers that when times get rough, they don't give up. The teachers always find a way for us students to enjoy the class and listen. With the ways that the teachers have been teaching us, we have learned so much. I really like the teachers here. Another thing that I enjoy about SRA is how safe I can feel in the environment. I feel like I can be very safe in the environment because in case of emergencies, they have everything well thought out. They also make sure that if we don't feel well, we will get checked out as soon as possible, no matter what the situation is. Another amazing thing about SRA is the dual language program. I really like this about SRA because it not only helps us learn Spanish, but it can also give us some advantages in the future and even right now as kids. We really like this class and everything we are doing in it. Right now, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. At this school, they accept us for who we are. At this school, they help us chase our dreams. They taught us that if we think we can't, we should think instead we can't yet. This school is such a great school and I really enjoy it. I hope others do too. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Very nice job. Thank you, dear.
Good evening, Superintendent Warwick, Mayor Sonio, and members of the school committee. It's my pleasure to speak to you today on behalf of Springfield Realization Academy. My name is Calvin Harrison, and I'm a proud 6th grade scholar. The Springfield Realization Academy, more affectionately called SRA, has 4 pillars to represent itself: integrity, justice, perseverance, and service. Every teacher and scholar follows all 4 pillars to create a safe learning environment for everyone. Teachers and scholars support each other. Teachers review topics with scholars so everyone understands it. Scholars work together as partners to help each other out. The unique classes and programs they have help scholars do many things that they wouldn't normally do. For example, the dual language program allows scholars to speak both Spanish and English fluently. Technology classes help scholars start coding at a young age, so if they acquire or choose a career based off coding, they get more experience with it. Also, instead of listening and taking notes, they can do the coding and the information. It also goes in the brain better. Art allows scholars to learn about the art they're doing and the history behind it. Not only that, art allows scholars to show their creativity. I know that the scholars here will achieve their goals and this academy will have a bright future. Thank you.
Have a nice job. Thank you very much. That concludes the student representation speak out from our Springfield Empowerment Zone. You all did a great job. Good health, continued success to you and your family, and God bless. We'll take a 1-minute recess and then we'll go into our regularly scheduled meeting. Thank you. We'll go. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Present.
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 Here. Present. Can we all please rise for a moment of silence? I'd like to dedicate it to our dear friend and community advocate, Bishop Neil Boyd. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and I believe I want to thank Focus Springfield again. You've been great on these public meetings and our transparency, and I also believe that we might have on today, first time ever, and congratulations, our student rep, Nathaniel Claudio from Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. With that, we will move to approval of the minutes. Approve the minutes of September 16th, 2021 regular session. Any questions or comments?
So moved, Your Mayor.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Due to the Zoom meetings, COVID rules regulation, roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passed. Thank you. We'll now move to Section 3, voting items. Vote to approve the delegate to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees, Mass Joint Conference in November of 2021. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Yeah, I'd like to turn it over to Maria from
Ms.
Legislative
Perez,
Contract
please.
Subcommittee.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Legislative and Contract Committee met, and we are requiring a vote to approve the delegate to the Massachusetts Association School Committee. It was recommended by the subcommittee to present to the full board to have our delegate for the November Joint Conference, November 2021. One of the recommendations, I don't know, the follow-up was to have recommended that Ms. Hirsch, if she's agreeable, to attend as our delegate. So I would like to hear from Ms. Hirsch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Ms. Hurst, please.
I'm happy to serve if there's no one else that's willing to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. I
Thank
know
you,
you've done a lot on the state level. We appreciate that. So that is the recommendation pertaining to the joint meeting of the Mass school committees. Is there
Make
a
a motion that we appoint Denise Hurst as our delegate?
motion made by Vice Chair Collins? Or second, please?
Second.
Second by, I believe it was Ms. Gresham said second. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
For yourself.
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you very much, Ms. Hurst.
Um,
B is to approve a vote for an alternate delegate to the Massachusetts Association of School Committees Mass Joint Conference in November 2021. Superintendent Warwick.
I'd like to turn it over.
Ms.
to
Per-
Legislative and Contracts.
Ms. Perez.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the legislature and contract also entertained to vote to approve the alternate delegate for the Massachusetts Association of School Joint Conference, November 2021. And the committee has recommended that Ms. Naylor will be the alternate for the conference on 2021. Ms. Naylor?
Ms. Naylor. Thank you, Ms. Perez.
I accept.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. I know you've done stuff on the state level for us. We appreciate that. Is there a motion, please?
I move we appoint Ms. Naylor as the alternate delegate.
Motion made by Vice Chair Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Vote is to approve authorizing elected delegate and alternative delegate to vote on resolutions at the Mass Association of School Committees Mass Conference in November 2021. Superintendent Warwick.
Again, I'd like to turn it over to Maria. from
Ms. Perez again,
Legislative and
please.
Contracts.
Yes, the legislative committee vote to approve authorizing the elected delegate alternate and the delegate to vote on the resolution at the Massachusetts conference in November 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Any discussions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst.
Point of clarification, Mr. Mayor, it was also noted that if they are amended on the floor, that they should use their best
Correct.
Best
judgment.
judgment. We always do. Yes, yes, we've always
Thank you,
done that.
Mr. Collins.
Okay, it was, I believe it was seconded by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you very much. D is the vote to approve an expenditure of $39,718 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, for the FY22 proficiency-based outcomes for language other than English grant. Superintendent Warwick, please.
And Farrader's on to give a quick presentation.
Hi, Ann. Ms. Farrader, please.
Hello, good evening. Nice to be with you. Yes, so DESE put forth an RFP in May only of 2021, indicating that they had extra funds and were interested in funding projects around the state. that were interested in proficiency-based outcomes for languages other than English. And I seized that opportunity. We were awarded the sum you just mentioned, and it was a quick turnaround. We had to spend that money by August 31st, which was a real challenge. But we were able to program some excellent professional development opportunities for our teachers with teacher stipends so that in the summer months, some of our world languages teachers could take advantage of some excellent opportunities to add to their toolbox, as it were, with an eye on increasing students' ability to produce something with the language, something in authentic contexts that shows that they are indeed gaining proficiency, so that they might in turn achieve the seal of biliteracy, which is the state's only credential that is worthy of a transcript and a job application attesting to the fact that the student has indeed achieved great success in mastering a second language. And it also, in turn, validates a student's home language, because we are able to assess students in those languages as well. So it's been a great endeavor. And in fact, there will be a continuation grant, which I will reapply for, obviously. And yeah, I'm willing to entertain any other questions you might have at this time.
Ms. Farida, thank you. Thank you for your initiative on this to obtain funding for proactive programs. I don't know if there's any questions or comments from the school committee members or Superintendent Warwick.
I have, Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Gresham, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is, how was it implemented? Or what languages did they do? What languages?
So almost every language, Ms. Gresham, is included in this opportunity. So we can assess students with their home language, be it, for example, I helped some students last year achieve it with Vietnamese, Arabic. So we can assess their home language and determine high levels of achievement in those languages. And in turn, we can then assess students, say, for example, who reach AP level, advanced placement level study of Spanish in our high schools. So there's two pathways. And I collaborate very closely with Carrie Martins and the ELL department around this initiative. And it's a great opportunity. Not every state in the United States is offering this, but Massachusetts was one of the first to hop on board this train. And I'm so glad that they have. And I hope that we will add to the numbers of students achieving this great credential.
Thank you, Ms. Farida.
Thank you.
Ms. Gresham? Okay, any other questions or comments?
Been through budget and finance. I didn't know.
Received approval of the Budget and Finance Committee, Mayor.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor, please.
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins. There's second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you very much. We'll now move to E. Vote to approve an expenditure of $187,429 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, for the FY22 American Rescue Plan Homeless Children and Youth 1 grant. Superintendent Warwick?
Yeah, Lorda Soto is going to speak to the grant.
Ms. Soto? Thank you.
Doesn't look like Lourdes.
Lourdes isn't on, but I'm happy to speak to it.
CFO Pat Roach or Assistant Superintendent Lydia Martinez, either or? Who wants?
I'll defer to Lydia.
Okay, Assistant Superintendent Martinez. Thank you, Lydia. You come on up here, please. Be careful with that swinging door. We got to get it. Be careful to sit back. Thank you.
Thank you. So this grant was the old McKinney-Vento grant for our homeless students. And so this comes from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed for us to continue supporting the children that are homeless for the city of Springfield and Springfield Public Schools.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Martinez. Any questions or comments or from Mr.
Mr. Mayor?
Roach too? Yes, Ms. Perez, please.
Yeah, one of the question I have, this is an existing program or so, and what are the ages, any ages?
So it's for all our homeless kids, all the way K through 12. We just provide different services for them to ensure that they continue to get an education. So for example, they don't have to live in Springfield. Sometimes they're in shelters. And so we make sure that they have transportation, that they have uniforms, that they have all the supplies that they need, and that we provide them with wraparound services.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Martinez. Any other questions or comments or?
It received
Vice Chair Collins?
support from the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. I don't know if Mr. CFO, Mr. Roach, anything to add at all or?
No, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Pat. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins. Or second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Perez. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. And again, to our viewing audience, just to let you know, a lot of the legwork is done in the subcommittee meetings, and many a times they'll meet for an hour or two, even if longer. So sometimes when you see a vote is undertaken, it's after thorough review and discussion has been done in the subcommittee by the various chairs. F is a vote to approve the expenditure of $204,969 from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the FY22 Growing Literacy Equity Across Massachusetts. The acronym is GLEAN K through 12 grant. Superintendent Ward, please.
Kelly Yangi from the Empowerment Zone Program is here to speak to that.
I think, is that Matt?
It
Matt
is good.
Brunel?
Yes, good evening, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. Would it
Matt,
be
how you
okay if I
doing?
spoke to, I'm great.
Hi,
I'm great.
Matt.
Would it be okay if I speak to this?
Yes,
Please.
Matt, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Brunel.
Wonderful.
Sorry,
Well,
Matt.
No worries at all. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Good evening, Vice Chair Collins, Superintendent Warwick, and the members of the school committee. First, I just want to acknowledge just how powerful those student speakers were previous to this, and just such symbols of hope and promise. And I thank you for just the opportunity for them to share their stories. In terms of the GLEAM grant, we are the recipients of a grant from the Department of Ed, which is going to allow us what we think is, one of the strategies to grapple with some of the challenges that have been posed by COVID, which include growing literacy gaps that we have seen in some of our students. And the GLEAM grant would allow us to implement a stronger response to intervention, RTI program across the board, specifically in the area of literacy. The 8 schools that would benefit from this would each have a team on site, which would be trained in particular in Orton Gillingham and other literacy treatments, which we could readily or do a better job of diagnosing what individual needs were of students, and then be able to have at the school level stronger responses in being able to intervene with students. This grant, we see as another step to what COVID recovery looks like, and in a non-COVID time, our ability to have stronger individualized response to intervention within our schools is a good idea. I'd be happy to answer any questions that members of the committee might have.
Thank you, Director Brunel. Any questions or comments of Director Brunel? Hearing none. Superintendent
It's
Ward.
also
Budget and
received full
Finance.
support of the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins. Or second, please.
Second.
Second.
Second, I believe Ms. Gresham answered that. Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. My apologies, being in this T-Birds penalty box here with the mask, it's sometimes tough to decipher who's saying what here on it. So G, thanks, Matt, Mr. Riddell. G is a vote to approve expenditure of $60,000 for the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for the FY22 CVTE Student Support Impact Recovery Grant. Superintendent Ward, please.
Joey Alves, our vocational director or Chapter 74 director, is here from Putnam to present.
Mr. Alves, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good evening, everybody. So this grant is designed to allow the students to make up some of those valuable hands-on skills that were missed due to COVID last year. So we were able to acquire the $60,000, and we're going to be designing a program where students will have opportunity to stay after school on Saturdays to make up some of the skills they missed. For example, the cosmetology students, they need specific amount of hours, and some of these kids were not going to make those hours without some extra time. So we were able to acquire the grant, and I think it's going to be a drop in the bucket towards getting back to a lot of the skills that our kids didn't get last year.
Thank you, Mr. Alves. Any questions or comments?
This also received full approval of the Budget and Finance.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Mr. Alves, I want to thank you and your team for your efforts, the hands-on skills you give our kids at the highly respected Putnam Vocational Technical Academy is deeply appreciated. I know firsthand when swinging that hammer on Habitat for Humanity houses or rehab houses and cosmetology, obviously they need clients to be able to do that, so thank you. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins. There's a second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, vote is sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
H is, thank you, Mr. Alves. H is the vote to approve the FY22 supplemental budget per attached schedule. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Yeah, I'd ask Pat Roach to come forward and speak to that.
CFO, Mr. Roach, Pat, thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is the supplemental budget. So when the school committee passed the original budget, the state had not finalized their budget at that time. So when the state goes back and finalizes their budget, there ended up being more money for Springfield Public Schools. The city has since taken a vote on the budget as well. So we're asking the school committee to approve the supplemental budget, which adds $3,888,083 to the budget. Some of that's going towards charter tuition, which was set by the state. All the Student Opportunity Act funds, there was an increase in the final budget, which we're going to give to the schools the same way we gave all of the Student Opportunity funds to the schools. And there was some additional funding for adult education. And then the Empowerment Zone gets money based on our contract with the Empowerment Zone. And that we're going to finalize the transfer of $374,000 from business and financial services to the legal services line item that the school committee voted to create previously. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Mr. Roach. Is any questions or comments? Superintendent Warwick, Vice Chair Collins, of Budget, Finance, or school committee members? Ms. Naylor, please.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Mr. Roach, can you talk a little bit about the charter tuition? I'm just a little baffled at the amount, and obviously we don't have a choice, but I think that a lot of people don't understand how taxed the public school system can be when it comes to the way that the current structure for paying tuition or funding towards the charter schools.
Yes, so the state sets the rate for charter schools and it comes out of Springfield Public Schools budget. So we're up to $70 million going to the charter and school choice coming out of the Springfield Public Schools budget. So this last increase out of the $3.8 million, 2.2 of that is going to the charter schools in the city.
So just if we note, you heard the CFO's total is 70 million. So I'm glad you brought that point up, Latonia, because the public doesn't often realize how much money gets taken out of our budget to go to charter schools. So I'm very happy that you brought that point up. This is an additional 2.2 million.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Ms. Naylor?
Yes, I do have a different question.
Go ahead.
It's not related to this, it's more of a general question, but it is related. So I guess my question is related to the 374 that you mentioned. I know when we voted on this, it was in a, what do we call it? Working session. So my question about the working sessions is that are those considered public meetings as well? Like, are people viewing those, or are those only within the school committee when we have those working sessions?
Working sessions of the school committee are public meetings.
Okay.
Yes, that was a public meeting.
Okay, so when we have them, I only get confused sometimes because I know we sit over there in the other building. So I didn't know if that was something where we are debating or, discussing, and then people are able to still watch those discussions, or if it was something that they watch later on after the conversation has taken place.
Ms. Vice Chair Collins, if I may, I wasn't here for that meeting, but I thought that was an executive session.
No, this was done during our budget process when we created, we never put any money into the line item. We created the new department. All the money that we currently spent was out of Pat's operation to pay and now since we have a separate department, that money needs to come out of Pat's office and go into its own office. That was done as part of our budget.
I remember that part of it, but, and I do remember being in that actual meeting as well. And so my understanding was that we were in a working session. I don't think it was an executive session, Ms. Hurst.
Oh, I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was a working session, but because I remembered it being in the other building, like we were still on Zoom and you all were inside the conference room in the Springfield Public Schools building. But and I only asked this because people have asked me, like, where is the meeting? And they didn't know that the meeting was happening or they didn't see it. So I don't know what people have access to outside of our meetings versus what we do. So I didn't have any conversations or respond to people's questions because I didn't know if I was able to, based on the way that the meeting occurred.
We hold working sessions several times a year. They are posted just like all of our meetings are, and they are always open to the public. And the location when we post them is always listed. So that one was, yes, you are correct. That one was held in the boardroom, but it was a public meeting. The public could have attended had they chosen to attend.
Okay, and so whenever, in that kind of setting, if we are subject to the Freedom of Information Act, so if folks did ask questions about what took place or information, we would be able to, in that kind of a setting, give them information. Not necessarily us, but if they went to the city and they asked for documentation or minutes or something like that of a meeting, they could ask for that of a working session, correct?
The minutes, sure, minutes of a meeting are accepted, just like any other meeting. So sure, that's a public document. Once it's accepted by this committee, then it's a public document.
Okay.
Point of information, Brendan from Focus Springfield is going to clarify very quickly on that specific
Okay.
question, Ms. Naylor. Go ahead, Brendan, please.
I'm sorry for crashing your party
No,
once
no.
again. So I just looked it up, and so far this year on the city site, I found 2 working sessions that existed. And I found the recordings for both of them on the YouTube page where everyone is viewing this meeting right now. If you just search school committee working session, there was a January one and a February one. I do not know what one this matter was taken up at, but they're both available to watch on demand.
Thank
So
you.
that one would have been in August.
The August one, I couldn't find that listed on the city's site. I searched for working session. So there's a chance it may have been listed as a subcommittee,
Okay,
but we can connect after to see if some recording of that exists.
thank you. I appreciate it because
Yeah.
I only asked because people have asked me and I don't want to misinform people. And I got a little confused when I didn't see it. So that's the only reason why I wanted to get clarification on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Ms. Naylor. It's been, it's been a little confusing for all because COVID-19 changing adjustments of restrictions and the reporting requirements on it. So thank you for bringing that up, Ms. Naylor. Was there any other questions or comments pertaining to the FY22 supplemental budget?
I move we approve.
Motion made by Vice Chair Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passed. Thank you very much. I is a vote to approve the Putnam admissions policy revisions. This is the first vote. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you. Paul and Foster and Attorney Phelps can take us through this. Again, we had an existing admission policy. We revised the policy to come into compliance with the new regulations and the timeframes so they can go over the changes for you. And it will require 2 votes because it's a change in policy.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Attorney Phelps and Mr. Foster, AKA Stats. Who's going to go first? I think Ms. Phelps is going to go first.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Attorney Phelps.
As a result of DESE requiring certain changes to Vocational Technical Academy admissions policies, this policy was revised. The significant changes as required by DESE no longer allowed for admissions policies to vocational academies to count suspensions of students of 10 days or less. If you recall, when the suspension statute was revised in 2014 by the legislature, short-term suspension was determined to be 10 days or less. Long-term suspensions are greater than 10 days. So therefore, the DESE said you can only consider long-term suspensions with regards to discipline for admission as one of the admission criteria. If you'll note, we totally removed any reference to discipline. The thought being that there aren't many students who are disciplined in greater than 10 days. And those that are usually very serious infractions and in all likelihood would not be candidates based upon the remaining 2 criteria of attendance and grades for Putnam or any vocational academy. So discipline is removed as a category. In addition, the counselor recommendation was removed. Counselor recommendations are very subjective, and the thought before both the committee and from Putnam itself is that there should just be 2 categories to consider, again, grades and attendance. With regards to attendance, DESE required that excused absences could no longer be considered in the absence rubric. So only unexcused absences will be considered going forward. The other 2 important parts that were taken out, there was a provision with regards to non-residents and how non-residents could apply for admission and transfer to the vocational academy. And talking with Dr. Soto, she just said, you know, we have so many of our own students who are on the waiting list to get into the vocational academy that the preference should be given to our residents, not to non-residents. So that was removed. Just lastly, there, if you'll note on page 2, there was language changed to make it clearer regarding transfer. And these are transfers of students who are coming in from other state-approved vocational technical education programs. And we just cleaned up the language pursuant to Dr. Soto's request because she had many parents who were a little unsure about the transfer process. If a student is transferring from another vocational academy and their shop is woodworking, for example, if we have an opening in that same shop, we'll get that student transferred in, but we can't guarantee that the same shop will have open slots for students who are transferring again from another approved vocational academy within the Commonwealth. So those are the changes, and the changes necessitated a new rubric, and that I'll turn over to Paul Foster for explanation with regards to the rubric that was created.
Paul, Attorney Phelps, thank you again, and Ms. Soto too, about Springfield first, Springfield residents. Yeah, they live here and they should have the opportunity first to go to a Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. Mr. Foster, please.
Yep, good evening. So if you turn to the appendix, towards the end of the document, you'll see an Appendix A and an Appendix B. And these are the rubrics that Attorney Phelps was referring to. And just as a reminder, the previous policy, the Putnam score was anywhere from 0 to 80. We wanted to maintain that 0 to 80 score because we didn't want to confuse families by changing maximum score. We wanted to keep consistency. So to achieve that, these rubrics reflect being able to earn up to 40 points based on grades and up to 40 points based on attendance. And so if you look at the first Appendix A, which is about grades, what you'll see is essentially for admission to Putnam, what we've always looked at is the middle school record. And so for grades, we're looking at the students' grades in middle school. And you were essentially, the easiest way to think about this is we're calculating a grade point average, and then we're multiplying by 10. So if you have a 4.0 as a middle school student, you're going to get 40 points towards your Putnam score based on grades. And if you go to Appendix B on the next page, this is for attendance. As Attorney Phelps mentioned, we are only considering unexcused absences in the attendance rubric. And the way this works, you can see the grid on that page. But essentially, you earn, if you have perfect attendance in middle school, and in this case, perfect attendance meaning no unexcused absences. So we're not, being out for an illness, that kind of thing is not penalizing a student. So they would still be considered 100% attendance if they missed some days because they were sick. But if you have that 100% attendance, again, that's 40 points. So the easiest way to think about this is a student who comes out of middle school with a 4.0 and no unexcused absences is going to have the full 80 points. And so that's the way we've adjusted the rubrics to make sure that the total possible remains 80. So we're not confusing families. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions about the rubrics.
Thank you. Mr. Foster, Attorney Phelps, please, any questions or comments of Mr. Foster, Attorney Phelps, or Superintendent Warwick?
Mr. Mayor, I have one other
Yes,
addition with
Attorney
regards to the
Phelps.
policy, and that is the role of the school committee. DESE is now requiring that the school committee on an annual basis before October 1st of each school year vote on the admissions policy. So if you vote on it tonight to approve it, there will be another vote. We'll be back to you a year from now for a vote. In addition, DESE is requiring on an annual basis also that the superintendent sign an attestation that the policy, the admissions policy is consistent with state and federal law with regards to vocational academies.
Thank you, Attorney Phelps. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment, and it's
Vice
not
Chair
about,
Collins?
it's kind of about a process. This is the first vote tonight, and we'll take a second vote. I don't know about the rest of the committee, but it seems backwards to me that we take 2 votes on amending a policy, but a single vote on creating a policy. To me, it seems like we'd want to have a chance to study a brand new policy to the point where we have 2 votes. My gut is to put this into a subcommittee and think about maybe reversing that to see what the rest of the committee thinks about it. It just seems incongruous to me that we vote twice on an amendment, but only once on a policy.
Questions or comments from school committee members? It was just Ms. Naylor.
I definitely agree with that. I think that a lot of times we've had new policies presented, and if you're not in the subcommittee and don't get a chance to deliberate in subcommittee, then sometimes you're not really sure of what you're voting on. So you may be inclined to vote yes or no, just because that's what you understand on that first basis. But then as you dig deeper and do your research, you may have a different perspective. So by the time you come back to vote a second time, then you'll have a fuller understanding of exactly what that policy means and how it's going to impact our community.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. The indulgence of the school committee, if the school committee wants to do that, or?
I think we'd have to amend.
Could you
we'd have to
clarify?
amend our own procedure.
Attorney Phelps?
There would
Well-
have to be voted by the school committee, a change in its rules. I'm happy to draft something up and circulate pursuant to the vice chair and Ms. McCarthy in advance of any subcommittee meeting for consideration.
And how many votes would that be? 13 votes on that one? or no? Okay, well.
Can I just ask a question?
Go ahead, Ms. Hurst.
Just so that I make sure that I'm following.
We need a
So
little
we're saying
levity.
instead of doing 2 votes on an amendment, we would send it to subcommittee and it would come out and we would vote just once.
Yes.
Just flip it, yeah.
and then reverse it, and then a brand new policy, the subcommittee would make a recommendation, the committee would hear it, and then there'd be a second vote for that, because it's a lot to go over.
Got it.
So with the indulgence school committee, I think everybody's agreeable that we're going to pursue that. So thank you for that.
Now, I would recommend that we approve on the first vote, this policy.
Let's
Oh,
make-
let's- come on,
This
let
is
me
the
question.
Through
Madam, you're
vocational
subcommittee. Wanna make a
ed
motion?
subcommittee.
I think,
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Who's,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I
Superintendent.
just wanted to say that this had come through our subcommittee, our vocational education subcommittee. I didn't know if Peter wanted to speak.
Attorney
to it.
Murphy, would you like to speak on that, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Mr. Alves was very instrumental in the revision of this policy. It certainly makes sense. And I would urge us to approve it.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. Any questions or comments? Attorney Murphy's chair of the subcommittee vote. Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Attorney Murphy. Is there a second?
second,
Second by Vice Chair Collins. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passed. Thank you
Mr.
very
Mayor,
much.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I meant to ask
Yeah.
this.
Yes, sir.
When exactly would we inform parents about this admission policy?
Good.
And I asked
Good
that
point.
question because is it from 6th to 8th grade that it begins, the tally begins?
Yes.
So in 6th grade, right, or in middle school, are we making sure that guidance counselors or that the schools are saying, just in case, in 2 years or in 3 years, if this is the school that you're looking to go to, these are the expectations?
Could we?
Because if you get all the way through 8th grade and you didn't realize that there were expectations that were set for you back in 6th grade, then what?
Could whether Attorney Phelps or Mr. Foster clarify that, or Superintendent Warwick? Paul Foster, please.
Yeah, so
Staff?
certainly, we certainly do. It is messaged through PACE and through the counseling department, sort of the criteria, but obviously with this change, it'll be important for us to go back and make sure the middle school counseling staff are fully aware that, you know, attendance and grades starting in 6th grade are important. I mean, they're important anyway, right? But they're important if you want to be pursuing Putnam when you get to high school. So we definitely will, with the new policy, we'll make sure we kind of redouble our efforts around the messaging, both to counselors, but also directly to parents as well.
Thank you.
If I may,
Ms. Phelps, Attorney
Mr.
Phelps?
Mayor, in the policy that was voted on, also it has a requirement, and this was in the other older policies as well. A high school informational night held by Springfield Public Schools provides an informational presentation for all interested middle school students, parents, in the community at one of the area's schools. All Springfield high schools participate in this event. Visitors are able to speak with students and staff from high schools represented at the school fair night, and that's under the recruitment process. So I know that the policy itself requires middle school students and parents to be informed with regards to Putnam. The
Yeah, and
question
with-
then, I think, of Ms. Hurst is how deeply does it go in terms of attendance, and make sure that that's stressed.
Well, also because I think that as a 6th grade parent, you might be thinking, oh, that's not something I need to attend. We have time to attend
Sure.
that next year or the year after.
I think it's a very good point,
Yep.
and we'll make sure we're informing everybody.
Thank you.
The other thing we do is Putnam goes out to all the middle schools and explains the whole program so the kids all know about it. So they call it the road show, but they go around to every school and explain the process for Putnam.
Thank you for the clarifications. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none is, well, you know what? We already passed that. I'm sorry. That was just a side note question. Thank you, Ms. Hurst. J, to vote to approve the COVID-19 leave policy. Superintendent Ward, please.
Yeah, this has been gone over in subcommittee and executive session. Recommend approval.
Is there any questions or comments? Hearing none. Again, a lot of this work was done in subcommittee, and we just had an executive session this evening too. Is there a motion on the floor? Say again, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, one is sufficient vote, this matter passes. Thank you very much. K is a vote to approve the memorandum of understanding, the MOU between the Springfield Public Schools and the teachers, SEA, Springfield Education Association, administrators, the SSA, and paraprofessionals, the AFT units. Superintendent Warwick?
Again, this has been gone over in a subcommittee and executive session, so I'm recommending approval.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, is a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Attorney Murphy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Yes. Yes.
Abstain.
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. Thank you very much. Informational items, there are none. We'll go to reports of subcommittees, standing committees. Student Relation, Parent Concerns, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Buildings and Maintenance Committee, Vice Chair Collins.
No report other than the groundbreaking was
Yeah, it was
wonderful. It was
beautiful.
nice to see that happen. It was great. Barbara spoke very greatly for the committee at the meeting, and it was a really nice ceremony.
Yes, very passionately, Ms. Gresham. And again, another new school that we're building, Homer DeBerry, and we look forward to that 2023 opening. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing no, we'll move to Legislative Contracts Committee. Ms. Perez, I know you had a busy committee.
We already discussed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Any questions or comments for? Okay, hearing none. Curriculums and Programs Committee, Ms. Hurst.
No report at this time.
Thank you,
Your
Ms. Hurst. Budget and Finance, Vice Chair Collins, I know you reported on some things.
We voted on all of the items, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Vocational Education Committee, Attorney Murphy, I know you had a busy committee too. Any?
We did have a meeting this week, Mayor. I just want to thank Mr. Alves for his help in changing the policy, and other than that, there's no.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. Any questions or comments? Okay, Hearing None Technology Committee, Ms. Naylor.
No report.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. School Safety Committee, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Special Subcommittee Staff Demographics, Ms. Perez.
No report at this.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. We'll now move to the report of the student representative of the school committee. And again, congratulations, Nathaniel Claudio from Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. And we're glad to have you on board, and the Zoom is yours.
Thank you to everyone aboard. This is new for me, so sorry if I'm seeming a little nervous. But I'm very excited. I'm eager. I've been talking to some students, just to congratulate them, get input. I think it's important to get input directly from my peers and not through another source. But I'm eager to be a voice for not just myself and peers but for my entire school. So I'm glad that I was chosen and recognized by my counselors and other administration, and I'm ready to partake in duties.
Thank you, Mr. Claudio. Nathaniel, thank you. We look forward to your input. And
Thank
we
you.
wish you and your family good health and continued success in and out of the classroom, and we'll see you next meeting. Any questions or comments of Mr. Claudio, Nathaniel?
Welcome aboard. We look forward to hopefully being able to sit with you live face to face.
Thank you. Vice
Hopefully
Chair Collins.
soon. Thank you.
So we'll give you the tough votes. How's that? All right? $1 million smile, kid. All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
You guys have a
Report of
good.
the superintendent. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I asked Jeannie Clancy if she can give us another nursing update. We've had Jeannie updating the committee on where we're at with the nursing program relative to the health protocols. So Jeannie, if you could come
Thank you,
forward.
Nurse Clancy, for all your efforts. And I know with Commissioner Helen Colton Harris sent us some stats, but thank you for all what you continue to do, you and your team. Nurse Clancy, please.
Thank you, everyone. I'm going to start with Commissioner Helen Colton sent me some information this morning, so I'm just going to quickly review that. This is data from 9/19 to 9/25 for COVID cases in Springfield. From 0 to 5-year-olds, there were 31 cases. From 6 to 10-year-olds, there were 65 cases. From 11 to 15-year-olds, there were 62 cases, and 16 to 20-year-olds, 39 cases. That total for the week was 197 cases. Last week, the total for 0 to 20-year-olds was 362 cases. The report that you should have received this morning from me for the school numbers that I give to DESE, that report is from 9/22 to 9/29. For students, we had a total of 74 COVID positive. There were 74 COVID positive students. This is down from 107 cases last week. So this is good news. We're clearly trending in the right direction. An update on Buy Next Now for Test and Stay. We are up and running in all schools. For symptomatic testing, we are also up and running in all schools. I was on with CIC Health this morning. They are implementing an expedition of supplies for 2 weeks, so I should have more supplies in the district tomorrow or Monday is what they're saying. And we're implementing pool testing. It will continue to expand as help arrives and they're trained. And the last update I have is the vaccine clinics. The first one at Central went great. I want to put a shout out to Azel Kavan for all the support she's given us for the advertising and getting that clinic up and running. And we will do clinics in every middle and high school. The dates are being confirmed with Big Y. So staff and students can get flu vaccine and COVID vaccine, plus they're offering the other mandates for middle and high school students. So if you missed your Tdap or your Menactra, they will also give that.
Thank you, Nurse.
And that's
I
my
have to say
update.
that the Central, the Big Y, the vaccination clinic was great because of the kids that spoke at that event and a positive peer pressure, I want to say positive, that they put on their students. You didn't hear it from me or superintendent, any one of us here. You heard it from the kids, why it was the right thing to do. That was very powerful. So, appreciate the continued efforts for our middle schools and high schools with the permission of parents and guardians. So I'll open it up to any questions or comments from school committee members, from Nurse Clancy or Superintendent Ward.
Mr. Mayor.
Ms. Gresham?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nurse Clancy, are we getting the support, the help that we need with respect to nurses coming?
Is that in reference to the testing?
Yes, I know at one point we didn't have the nurses that we needed. Are we getting more?
We're onboarding. Right now, there are a total of 4 what they call program coordinators, and they are nurses. There's 2 more that are onboarding, and we have CNAs that are being brought in as testers. And they're not all cleared yet, but we have about 18 support staff being onboarded.
Okay. So are the consents coming in from parents? Are they coming in? Are we struggling with the consents or?
Consents are rolling in slow. They're coming in as, we spend a lot of time with the test and stay based on positive students. So those parents are called and those consents are coming in. And we're still uploading the original consents. We need to finish that work before we reconsent.
Okay, that's good. So my next question, now, when we do the nasal swab, do the nurse does that or the children are doing it themselves? How does that work?
This program is supposed to be observation for the nasal swab for pool testing.
Okay.
So pool testing is different than test and stay, which is the Buy Next Now. So pool testing is supposed to be the students swab them themselves, and that's why you can have untrained people there to monitor and put them in the test tube that gets submitted for testing. We can assist preschool. Buy Next Now, you have to swab by a professional trained, because that is a result that gets reported to the lab.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, Nurse Clancy?
Ms. Harrison?
We have students swabbing themselves?
Yes.
For pool testing, yes, they always have. It's a self-swab.
Mr. Mayor.
That's how pool testing was designed.
Even in the
Ms. Gretchen, then I'll go to Ms. Brown.
even the preschool children?
You're allowed to assist preschool.
Okay. so
That
when
you
you say-
assist, you can assist kindergarten, you can assist anyone who needs assistant, but the students are being taught to swab themselves.
So, Mr. Mayor, I
Ms.
was
Perez,
gonna ask
reply.
that question because I have received many calls from the parents. And I have one particular parent that when they are doing, this is reported by the parent, the pool testing. This particular child, he has like a membrane or something in his nose, and they are preoccupied that by doing them themselves, not by a professional, they might hurt that part of the nose. So I was bringing that forward today because I have been receiving many calls in terms of this issue of having the students do their prep themselves. So.
Okay, but any student that needs assistance, a nurse would assist that student. The parent just needs to let us know.
So, yeah, and that was the question. How does the parents in the pool testing know that they could be assisted and how to identify what kind of forms you have that we could give to the parents if they don't want their child to be pool testing by themselves? So how do we, the logistic of it? I'm just asking.
I'll have to get back to you on that because the consent forms are from the lab and those are the forms we have to use. But last year, the program ran the same way. Pool testing is set up for students to self-swab. If a student has any problem, there's always been an adult there. Last year, it was a nurse. This year, it would be one of the trained people, or I'm not saying a nurse wouldn't be there.
So that was my concern because all along the community had thought that the pool testing was done by a professional. It was never informed to the community about the process that you are informing right now. So I would like to see some concern form or some protocol in place so we could assure the community that this is safe.
We have protocols on the whole program and it's CIC and DESE. These are their protocols. And information can be put back out to parents on the website.
I think what I'm trying to describe is the communication between the pool testing and the community at this point. How are we communicating to those parents? When are they going to be pool tested? How is it done? I think that we need to describe. I think the community is not, and because of the many calls that I received, they are not aware of a concise process, is what I'm trying to bring forward. And I don't know how the other colleagues feel, but I have received calls when it comes to the pool testing.
Maybe Superintendent Warren, maybe through Zell Murphy. can
Yeah,
provide-
we can get Jeannie to work with
in
Azell and
different
send more
language,
information out. If
that
that'll
they
help
have the
clarify
option.
it. And I think in the meantime, if a parent has a concern, they should definitely call the school nurse at their school to make sure there's assistance provided. You know, if there's a parent where there's a medical problem and they want assistance, I'd call the school nurse at the school.
Yeah.
But we can send out more information.
Let me go to Ms. Naylor. She was
Oh, I'm
waiting,
sorry.
and then I'll go to Ms. Hurst. If Ms. Perez is done. Ms. Naylor, please.
So I did want to just say that I did go with my children when they had to be pool tested and they did have to swab themselves. And even when I went to Eastville Mall and got it done, it was the same thing. They had to swab themselves. So I was never under the impression that that somebody else was doing that. And even when I went to CVS, they did the same thing. So I think there's a difference between an assumption that people are making and the clarification on what the protocols are that we're expected to do. So I think that having a simplified video or something like that that we can share with our families, then that way it can make it a lot easier. I mean, they have sample videos that you can even get from CDC or something and post where it shows the kids administering, doing the test on themselves and stuff like that. I don't think it has to be a complicated process. And I guess my concern is that I know that the nurses are already understaffed severely, and we're already trying to get other things like the vaccination clinic up and running. So I'm concerned that we don't want to put more of a burden on staff that's already overworked and understaffed. I think that we can find a compromise, though, to make sure that our community understands exactly what the expectations are and exactly how to make requests when they submit those consent forms. I think there is a space on there that you can add comments or something like that. I've seen one, I just can't remember it off the top of my head at the moment, what it looked like, but I think that there is open room for those kind of communications to take place so that folks are concerned. I think that kids who are in elementary school are more than likely going to be the ones, or if they have special needs, that are going to need some support. But I just wanted to throw that out there just for us to be mindful of the request, that we try to find a medium that's not going to stretch our staff that have already been doing such a great job.
Thank you, Ms. Nadler. Ms. Hurst?
So I think there's more than one issue. There sounds like there's two issues, and one is the communication piece. And so to Maria's point that the community isn't aware, I happen to agree because I'm on the committee and I didn't necessarily know that. I never thought that the kids were swabbing themselves. I am a person who had the virus, who had two kids who had the virus, have been tested at Eastfield Mall several times, and never did I have to administer my own test. So the other thing is that we've all have had different experiences. AMR swabbed me and my children when we did it with them. Eastfield Mall has always swabbed me, my children, my husband, my mother. I've never seen it. I've heard that you can happen when you go to CVS, but I've never seen it where you've had to swab yourself. And I guess my concern is, and I understand that the nurses are overworked and understaffed, but I guess I have a real concern about elementary students in particular, or any students. Like, what's the probability that this is being done accurately? And in particular for the little kids, I guess I signed the consent forms and I don't remember reading that, and maybe it's there, but I definitely do not remember hearing that we were having people self-swab.
Okay, last year when we did the pool testing, I can find the videos again. I know we probably did a better job of posting it on the website and communicating it. It's been in presentations. We can get that information back out. This is not new. This is not new. What is new is we're slow in getting up and running because my nurses can't do it all. Pool testing is different than Binex Now or a PCR. Pool testing is a sample that goes into the test tube and has always been designed to self-swab. That was the design of how it was presented initially. So we can absolutely get the information out, but you can't get confused on the difference between the test. Pool testing is not identifiable. It's grouped. The whole test tube is tested. If it comes back positive, then we find the positive student with individual Binex tests, which you do have to have a healthcare professional swab.
So does that mean that if a pool test comes back negative, comes back positive, that all of those who were in that pool are now Binex or PCR tested?
Yes.
So they do the initial swab themselves, and
Yes.
only if somebody comes back positive, are they then swabbed for these two other types of tests?
Yes. That's the design of the program. And it hasn't changed even though we're with a new lab.
So if I may.
If Ms. Hurst is done.
I am done. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
Let me go to Attorney Murphy, Joe. I need you to ask a question.
Oh,
then I'll
yeah,
go to
just
Ms. Gresham.
very briefly, Mayor, I guess we all need to, learn about this process, but every time that I got tested, it was self-swab and the same thing for my children. So, every time we went, mostly to CVS, we did the self-swab when you put basically like a Q-tip up your nose and put it into a test tube and you hand it back to the person. So, I certainly share Ms. Hurst's concern about the younger kids, like they might not do it correctly and then therefore the test might not be accurate. But I thought you kind of had this self-swab. So.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. Ms. Gresham?
Thank you, Mr.
Nurse Clancy, unless you wanted to respond. All right.
Okay.
No, Ms. Gresham,
Yes,
please.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm really concerned about the preschoolers or the elementary student, anyone doing them, because when I have been tested, they have you to blow your nose really good, and then they swab your nose and they put it in the tube themselves. I think that would give a more accurate reading of the results. I just don't know how accurate it is that we can depend on a child swabbing themselves.
Nurse Clancy, could you clarify again what we do for pre-K, please?
Pre-K is assist. We would assist a kindergarten if they need it. They've done studies through the pool testing philosophy and that students can self-swab. They're talked through the directions, they're supervised. And again, we did this last year in Springfield with half the students, but it was the same program. The pool testing philosophy is it's surveillance. You're putting the swabs into the tube. If the tube comes back positive, then I agree. There are some places where you can swab yourself, but because this is school and this is the program designed under DESE's guidance, we swab by next NAM. A child would not do that swab.
Thank you, Nurse Clancy. Any other questions? Vice Chair Collins, please.
Jeannie, when do we pool test the school?
Pool testing the school, once it's completely up and running, happens once a week for any students and staff that have consented.
So it's happened weekly for all schools for everybody who has consented?
Not this year. Last year, we were doing it weekly after we got up and running.
When you get to the staffing that the state has promised, is that the plan that will happen?
That is the plan, that once a week, students that have consent from their parents are part of pool testing once a week. Staff that consent are part of pool testing once a week.
When the parents signed the consent form, was there an explanation sheet of what pool testing was?
I'd have to, not in depth, no. And the
It wasn't,
consent,
I signed it
no.
twice. I signed two of them for both of my kids, and I did not, those directions were not on there.
Perhaps we should prepare just a communication that explains what pool testing and what the process is for the schools that are currently testing and any that when we bring it online.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you, Nurse Clancy. Any other questions or comments?
I just would like to say, in all fairness, it was a very comprehensive document that we had to sign both front and back. However, it just said, that there would be pool testing, that there would be this kind of testing. Never in there did it talk about self-swabbing or any of that.
Just make it, we should have.
Yeah, we'll do some more communication. We hear you loud and clear. We use the state form because it was a state program. So it was the state form that we used. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have to use that form,
Right, right.
but we
Yeah,
can
we're
add
following
to
their
it.
program. Yeah,
It's their
Right.
program,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So maybe we can.
But we can get more information on it. We'll be glad to
Just
do
an
it.
addendum
Yeah.
if we have to use that form.
Yeah, we do have to use the form because it's their program, but we can get more information out. Yep.
Thank you. That was an important discussion, school committee members. Thank you, Nurse Clancy. If any other questions or comments? Hey, Nurse Clancy, get some rest.
Oh,
will
I
you?
have a question.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm
Ms.
sorry.
Taylor, go ahead. Geez,
I got
she was out the
distracted
door.
by this good conversation. I love these kinds of conversations. So my question is, and I'm pretty confident we don't have this yet, but I wonder if we are starting to think about what the goal for vaccination percentage is before we can start to have more of a sense of normalcy in the building. So for example, being able to allow parents to actually come to a basketball game or something that's inside. I know that families can participate in outdoor gaming, but unfortunately, if we have kids like me who play volleyball, I can't go watch my baby play. And also when it comes to field trips and stuff like that, we're getting a lot of requests from kids and staff asking, when are they going to be allowed to do things like that, to be able to take kids on field trips and stuff. So what does that look like? Are we looking at 80%, 75%? Like, how do we kind of gauge when we're able to do some more normal things for our kids?
Nurse Clancy, please.
Okay, so let me answer the vaccination question. Clearly, they look for 80%. I would have to talk to Helen and get her advice what the expectations would be for schools. I know DESE has put out guidance that you can get masks removed at 80%, but we haven't even had that discussion yet because we have a lot of work to do to get to 80%. So the field trips aren't happening in Springfield right now because I don't have the nursing available to go on field trips. We can't even get agency to fill my vacancies. So there's just a shortage of healthcare professionals right now, and you can't in any way discriminate against a child that would need a nurse. And it's work to clear the field trips. And right now, I have a great nursing department. They're working really hard. They've done a lot of this on their own to get testing up and running. There's no way that they can do field trips right now. So that doesn't have to do with COVID. It has to do with staffing.
So now, when it comes to, first of all, what I was going to say about the 80% is that could also be an incentive for us to use to get more folks to participate in the vaccination clinics. Because I think if kids knew that if they were vaccinated, they might actually have a chance to do some of these activities, they might be inclined to convince their parents that they want to and to allow them to be vaccinated. So I think that's something that we should really think about. How do we use that as an incentive? But then the other thing about the nurses, is it a requirement that somebody has to be full-time, like hired staff for SPS? What if they're like a parent who's a nurse? And is there a possibility that if there are parents or folks in the community who want to volunteer their time as nursing staff, that maybe we could have some type of training or something for them to be able to participate in that way? Because people look for different ways to volunteer at the district. And that could be something, I don't know, something out of the box that maybe we should consider, just because we, again, thinking about equity. I just feel bad if our kids can't participate in things that are going to allow them to enhance their learning.
You're probably going to run across liability issues there too.
There's, I strongly recommend, if you know any nurse that is willing to help out, even for field trips, and I've done this before, you have to be employed by Springfield because of confidentiality issues and dealing with students' records. But we can hire them as a sub, even if they only want to work for the field trip.
That's very interesting to know.
That's good.
Yeah, they'd have to be under the guide that they're coming on board, the rules and requirements and regulations of Springfield Public School System, because it's a good, what you brought up with Ms. Naylor's, right, you know, anything to help. But Jeannie, Nurse Clancy's right, if you can find somebody, because the healthcare profession is taking quite a hit right now. People fill positions, they're leaving positions right now because of the burnout, but.
Can I just ask a
Yes.
question for clarity's sake? The 80% that you said DESE is mandating, is that 80% of the school district or 80% of the city or town?
It's school by school. You don't even have to get the whole district.
So
But it's
school by-
students and staff in the building.
Of the school.
Oh, so 80% staff, 80% student.
A total of 80%. So I think if you had 100% staff, you could have less students. They didn't break down. Each had to hit 80%.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was very, pardon the pun, healthy discussion. Appreciate that. Any other questions or comments? Can I let Nurse Clancy go? Get some rest? Doctor's orders, Nurse Clancy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Superintendent Warwick, thank you.
I'd like to continue with the report, just to commend Jeannie. The Vax clinic over at Central was absolutely fabulous.
That was great.
The kids came up with this idea of Vax the Field, and they made their own posters, and they were generating some excitement. I think we had 200 kids done that day, so that's moving in the right direction, and that's the kids getting involved and getting excitement. There was a really good article in the paper that I included in the package. Also, just want to thank Big Y. Jeannie reached out to Big Y, and Charlie Demore stepped up, and Big Y volunteered to engage in this process at all of our schools. So absolutely incredible. And they've been a great corporate citizen throughout the year. So, and everything they can do with education, going back to the homework helpline and everything for years. But just wanted to thank Charlie DeBoer and Big Y for stepping up when we needed, and for Jeannie to set that whole thing up, because it's very, very important.
Superintendent, if I could mention with Charlie Demore, he had reached out a few months ago and said, geez, whatever you need us to do, we want to be able to do it. And with Jeannie and Helen, they came across with the clinic. We also had help from the Elms, Our Lady of the Elms College, the nursing students there, and others in our public health nurses, school nurses. But yeah, the Big Y and the Demore family, Charlie, have been great. They've been a great corporate citizen. But he reached out some months ago, so what can I do? What can we do to help? And I'm glad everybody was
They've
able
just
to facilitate it, Superintendent. Thank you for your efforts, your team's efforts.
Charlie's just been great over the years, and the whole family. I included an Mcas article for some information for you, and we're going to do a comprehensive report on the Mcas test. A quick overview is our kids, showed around the same declines as the rest of the state due to the pandemic. So the whole idea statewide is this is exactly what we knew was going to happen: is how do we get good diagnostic information and begin to work on the learning loss, which has occurred. The good news is that we were better than the state in a lot of areas, and there's some bright spots there. School visits, the key thing now is that we have school opened, we can deal with this learning loss. So it's accelerating learning now that we have school opened. I've made 28 visits to 24 different schools since we've opened. The school staff is doing a great job, and things are really going well in the schools. They've worked out all the logistical issues, and they've really got things running in a proper direction. The kids are happy to be back. And a lot of teachers are saying, thanks for getting the kids back in, because they needed to be here, and they were missing a lot. And there is a difference between a virtual and live school. Have a little note here. Latonia received an award from the MASC All-State School Committee. So congratulations to Latonia. Put something out on that. Yeah, congratulations.
Oh, like that. I can do it like this. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, raise the roof, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great dedications at Homer DeBerry School. We're off and running. Barbara was there. Barbara made a nice presentation, but we're off and running. And then tonight over at Bolden Park. So the two pieces of that piece are We have the park opened and the school is moving along in the right direction. And really excited to have Fontaine partnering with Danisco, two providers we've worked with in the past. You just can't get a better team on the field. So I think that's exciting, and we'll have a great product there. So those are two very positive openings. And last, I included a contracts report in your package for your review.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Any
you,
questions
Mayor.
or comments from Superintendent Warwick's report? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to unfinished business. Hearing none, we'll go to new business.
Mr. Mayor, I
Ms. Gresham?
just have a question. How is the virtual school going? Is it going
Good question.
good?
Yeah, virtual school. day.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. Virtual school is going very well. We have somewhere in the 550 range already going. They were able to get the entire school staffed, which is incredible because we had to staff up the entire school during the spring and summer when staffing was very difficult. Just filling openings in every field was very difficult. But the team we have at the virtual school was able to put a full staff together, which is absolutely incredible. I think we learned a lot during our remote experience last year, and the team there is doing a fabulous job. Kudos to Paul Foster for putting the whole technology piece together, and then Stefania Rachil and her team for designing the entire curricular piece to fit with a virtual format. So we're off and running, and we're off to a really good start. Very, very positive start. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham.
Speaking of the technology
Vice
piece,
Chair.
Mayor, none of us would have expected a few years ago when we decided to invest money
5 years ago.
in getting computers that we'd have our students using those very same to communicate with us like they did tonight and doing it so professional. It's amazing what has gone on.
Vice Chair Collins, we had a superintendent, I had a Boston group that came in and impressed that we had already had, how quickly we got laptops and iPads to everyone, but we told them we already had started this 5 years ago.
Right.
They said no other district has done that. So that's a testament to Superintendent Warwick's staff and the school committee, and then on the city side, we helped. So they said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No, we were all made sure we got all the laptops and iPads from pre-K on up." So.
And it's a testimony to this committee that
Exactly. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
bit the bullet and said, we're going to invest money in our students in this way. Never knowing that this would be the case,
I
that
know.
we'd be in,
Surreal.
but knowing it was just the right thing to do for kids.
That's right. Thank you. Any other new business?
Mayor, could I?
Yes,
just add
Attorney
one
Murphy.
thing? So the Afghani refugees.
Yes.
They're coming. Are we prepared for them, or what are we doing to make sure?
There's been outreach. Bishop Byrne had reached out to me a few weeks ago, give me a number, and then Centra just had sent some notification on a reach out, and I've sent that to all the proper cabinet heads to review, to sit down and meet with them. And I don't believe we have heard from Jewish Family Services yet. We want to be able to do our part. It's the right thing to do. The Afghan people stood up for us, and they'll never be able to go back to their country, unfortunately. And I think Ms. Hurst made a good point last meeting before, with the United States of America being an Afghan for 20 years, 2 decades, very Americanized, or the language, and also for the females, the young ladies and the women there, they never had educational efforts. We gave that to them. That's been taken away from them. So I know with Ms. Perez, because we've been with New North Citizens Council on some housing things for our own people here. The challenges we face are housing will be a challenge. We'll do what we have to do as we did with Hurricane Maria when our brothers and sisters came to Puerto Rico on the educational side. All we ask is that the agencies that are bringing them in do 2 things. One, Springfield has always done, will take its fair share with our capacity. We ask other surrounding communities, suburban, rural communities, to put their money where their mouth is. And 2, I ask these organizations that their follow-through needs to be there, not a 3-month or 6-month follow-through. It's got to be much more longer than that to work with us. So There has been reach out and the information's been sent to all cabinet heads, including Superintendent Warwick, on how to prepare and then we're working with our nonprofits. So that's in the midst of happening right now.
And our team, Lourdes, and the team at Pace, and our ELL team, we have a tremendous amount of experience with different refugee groups. And certainly when we dealt with Hurricane Maria, we dealt with more than anyone in the state with Hurricane Maria and did it flawlessly. So our team is prepared and ready to go. And we'll make sure we do a very good job with them. Our numbers are down in all the schools. So there's no issue with a space crunch. We can assign the kids to schools easily.
And
the numbers, like everyone else in the state, have been falling. We'll do a report when we get the October 1 census in. There were a lot up from our initial report. We've done a lot of enrollments, but I still think we're going to be down a little when we do our final count.
Bishop Byrne reported to me Catholic Charities, which I contract with for street activities, whether mental health or home. They were talking about 60 total, Denise, am I correct? But not all coming to Springfield, it was surrounding areas. I believe Essentra, gee, I get so many emails. I thought, Denise, they were talking triple digits, Essentra. Now, not all coming to Springfield, surrounding. Jewish Family Services, what I've seen reports in the media, they were talking heavier numbers, but again, they have not made any outreach to my administration at all. And, that would be the proper thing to do to get that outreach so we can take on what we feel that we can handle. So 60 with Catholic Charities, not all coming to Springfield, Westminster area. Essentra, Denise, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they were triple digits low.
Yeah, that's what I
And what I
heard
saw,
yesterday,
and what
actually.
was reported, what I read in the media, that Jewish Family Services were looking they were 250 and north. We just hope that is, everybody does their due part. Springfield will do our part, but everybody does their due. If you can clarify that,
No,
that's the only thing I don't have concrete.
No, I've heard similar numbers as of yesterday. I also understand that they'll be settled all throughout Western Mass.
Yes,
It won't
yes,
be just
yes,
Springfield.
yeah.
So West Springfield,
Yeah.
the Berkshires,
Yeah.
Central Mass, Worcester. And I can't remember if Westfield was one, but I definitely heard West Springfield, and the Berkshires.
Right, and we also ask our suburban brothers and sisters to step up also too, in the rural areas. Many a times they'll, I'm gonna say it, many a times they're gonna pontificate to the city of Springfield what we should do. We take on any and all challenges. We ask you to put your money where your mouth is too. And maybe you can help out some of these families too. I would really appreciate that. And I'll say that in a very direct but respectful way, as I see some people in the audience nodding their heads in agreement. Any other new business? Murphy, you got me going now.
Move we adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn. Is there, by Vice Chair Collins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, board is official vote. This matter passes live from the penalty box of the T-Bird game. We thank you for watching and wish you and your families good health. God bless.